Former AEW star Ethan Page wins the NXT Championship in a dramatic fatal four-way match last night at NXT Heatwave, but that wasn't the end of the show, as there was a very brief cameo from TNA wrestling star Joe Hendry. We'll let you know all of the details on that, plus more details behind the scenes when it comes to what happened with this botch involving Damian Priest, Seth Rollins, and the World Heavyweight Championship match at Money in the Bank over the weekend. Roxanne Perez retains the NXT Women's Championship at NXT Heatwave. Speaking of retaining titles, Obafemi is still the NXT North American Champion. Nathan Fraser and Axiom retain their NXT Tag Team Championships. Kalani Jordan is still the NXT Women's North American Champion. And Riho suffers an injury in her AEW return match on AEW Collision. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. Let's start off talking about Ethan Page, the brand new NXT champion. A shocking and surprise conclusion to the Fatal 4-Way match last night at NXT Heatwave. Former AEW talent All Ego Ethan Page is the new NXT champion after defeating the defending Trick Williams, Shawn Spears, and Javon Evans in a Fatal 4-Way match at NXT Heatwave in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Page initially fought his way into the match after he was never eliminated during the number one contenders battle royal on an episode of NXT after being taken out of the match by Oro Mensah. The match ended in dramatic fashion after Williams took out Evans with a trick shot that also knocked Spears off the ring apron. Williams then hit another trick shot on Page, but Page fell on top of Evans to pin him, and Spears held on to Williams to prevent him from breaking up the fall. The match started out when Page immediately getting out of the ring when the bell rung, only for Evans to go over the top rope to brawl with him on the outside, while Spears and Williams mixed it up in the ring. Spears was the first competitor to seemingly remember the no disqualification aspect of the Fatal 4-Way match and introduced a chair into the match, taking out all the other competitors. Evans got bouncy throughout the match and almost had the victory during different points of the bout after hitting multiple high-flying moves to Page before Williams broke up Evans' falls not once but twice. At one point, Williams sent Evans over the top rope and into the announce desk, sending Evans through it. With no hard feelings, Evans saved Williams at another point, putting the now former champion's foot on the rope when he was pinned by Page. Following Page's chance victory, he held up his newly won title in the middle of the ring, but the broadcast cut to a familiar figure very quickly, that being TNA wrestling star Joe Hendry. Yes, I believe in Joe Hendry. Now, to end last night NXT Heatwave, there was an update on the WWE status of Joe Hendry, as something of a cameo appearance drove fans wild online. There was already a newsworthy conclusion to last night's main event, as I mentioned, with Trick Williams losing his championship to All Ego Ethan Page. Now, however, as Trick Williams was livid and Page celebrated to end the show's closing graphic wasn't truly the last moment. Instead, a very short clip of Joe Hendry's viral video would flash briefly before the show truly came to a close. Now, evidently, this suggests that TNA star Joe Hendry will be returning to NXT after his appearance a few weeks ago drew crazy numbers on social media. Now, as far as more details on this comes courtesy of Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select. Now, say his name and he appears. As NXT Heatwave went off the air with a new NXT champion, a blink and you miss it tease occurred for one Joe Hendry. This comes after Hendry's recent NXT debut, where he stated that he could show up on any show. Fightful Select's Corey Brennan has been told by multiple sources in NXT that there are plans to use Hendry heavily as part of the NXT and TNA crossover in the coming weeks and months. Following his debut, Brennan was told that WWE would look to focus on Hendry's ability to go viral, with small teases being deemed enough for the Scottish wrestler. Brennan was also told to expect more blink and you miss it teases building to Hendry's next appearance in NXT. When Fightful asked about if WWE would be interested in Hendry once his current deal with TNA expires, they were asked, quote, "Who wouldn't?" Now, while Hendry featured as a tease on the PLE, he was not in Toronto for the show and competed in Glasgow on Saturday night. So what are your thoughts on Joe Hendry and his future in WWE NXT? Now, some more details on the Money in the Bank World Heavyweight Championship match BOTCH that was criticised and at least spoken about heavily online. Now, there was an issue with the World Heavyweight title match at Money in the Bank that left many fans puzzled. During the Seth Rollins vs Damian Priest World Heavyweight title match, there was a situation where a near fall actually wasn't, wasn't. Following a Falcon Arrow from Seth Rollins, there was to be an interruption, though many fans online were debating what really that was. Though the champion Damian Priest didn't kick out, the referee didn't count to 3. The referee, Rod Zapata, was the one who was actually fined after WrestleMania 35 when Ronda Rousey didn't keep her shoulder down and counted the 3 anyway, with the line of thinking that matches should have been called as shoots. However, those that Fightful Select have spoken to claimed that times and circumstances have changed, that there wasn't any heat on Priest or Zapata. Those that Fightful Select spoke to claimed that Priest was supposed to kick out based on the chatter after the show, including Triple H addressing as much on the post-show. Priest was said to have been fine in the immediate aftermath. As for Zapata, him actually counting the 3 would have resulted in a title switching to Rollins. Because of that, the McIntyre cash-in would have been a one-on-one match and the no DQ rules would have not applied, and Punk's attack would have not been deemed legal. Rollins' stipulation of not challenging for the title would have been invalid, and WWE would have been put in a corner where Priest was no longer in the Judgment Day per the rules of the match. In all, one WWE backstage source said, quote, "It was an unfortunate situation, but those don't usually happen with Damian Priest, and he was probably more bothered about it than anyone. Considering how much he gives of himself, it would be silly for anyone to hold that against him. It's just a shit happened situation." Now, some assumed that Drew McIntyre's music hitting was also supposed to interrupt the count. Nobody would confirm or deny that to Fightful, but one producer said that wasn't the vibe they got based on Triple H's comments. The same producer said that music shouldn't stop a pinfall count anyway. So what did you make of the botch? Let me know your reaction to that too in the comment section below. Now, Roxanne Perez, she is still the NXT Women's Champion. Roxanne Perez scraped her way to victory to retain her NXT Women's Championship over Lola Vice at NXT Heatwave. The challenger had the champion dead to rights towards the end of the physical bout, but found a hand injury sustained during the bout her downfall as she couldn't connect with a final spinning back fist for a victory. When all was said and done, it took 5 Pop Rocks finishers to keep Vice down for the count, even kicking out after one delivered through the announcer's table. The match itself saw Perez and Vice trade stiff shots and offense, the former leaning into a vicious side while the latter found success with her signature kicks and punches. Vice sustained a hand injury when an attempted spinning back fist on the outside only found the ring post, but she managed to retain her advantage over the champion, landing several kicks before setting up Perez for the finish. Vice going for the back fist again, Perez telegraphed it and checked the injured hand, seizing the opportunity to hit her finisher for a close near fall. 4 more later, and she had finally put Vice down after 13 minutes. Now, Obafemi is still the NXT North American Champion. Obafemi retained his NXT North American Championship over Wes Lee to continue his reign of dominance at NXT Heatwave. Lee gave his best shot at regaining the title he previously held for 269 days, but it was ultimately not enough, and per the stipulation, he will no longer be able to challenge for the belt whilst Femi is champion. Femi's reign will now extend beyond 181 days after capturing it in January from Dragon Lee after cashing in his breakout contract. The bout itself saw back and forth action between the clashing styles of the champion's power against the challenger's speed, with Lee building up flurries of offense in quick succession, but credibly troubled when boxed in by Femi. Lee almost had the bout won after landing his signature cardiac kick, the champion mustering a kick out as the challenger sought to close things out. Familiarity appeared to cost Lee, however, caught mid-cardiac kick by Femi, escaping and attempting it once more. Femi had that one telegraphed, delivering a sit-out powerbomb for the pinfall victory. Now, speaking of retained titles, we still have NXT Tag Team Champions in the form of Axiom and Nathan Frazer. At NXT Heatwave, the fast-paced twosome overcame Chase Hughes, Andre Chase, and Duke Hudson. Chase and Hudson had plenty of support from Riley Osborne and Thea Hale at ringside, but were unable to best the champions. Axiom and Frazer gave them plenty of openings, though, especially through the match's closing section. Frazer and Axiom kept accidentally kicking each other, constantly bringing them to the brink of losing the titles. However, the team was able to recover, with Axiom dropping Chase with the golden ration kick to retain the titles. Axiom and Frazer have been champions since April 9, when they defeated Baron Corbin and Bron Breakker on the post-WrestleMania edition of NXT, clocking it in at 89 days. Now, Kalani Jordan is still the Women's North American Champion. Kalani Jordan was successful in her first Women's North American Championship defense against friend Sol Ruka at NXT Heatwave in Toronto, Ontario, Canada on Sunday. While Jordan first successfully retained against Michin on an episode of NXT, this was the first time the new championship was defended on a premium live event after Jordan climbed the ladder to win the bout at Battleground. The pair of friends faced off in high-flying, hard-hitting match that saw them fly outside of the ring multiple times. Jordan hit a poison rana onto Ruka, sending her rolling out of the ring. The champion followed it up with a moonsault off the middle rope, hitting Ruka on the outside. Ruka regained her composure and hit a moonsault of her own, and both women were laid out on the outside of the ring and barely beat the referee's 10 count. Jordan went up the top to attempt a 630 splash, but Ruka got her knees up. Jordan countered a soul snatcher, but Ruka kicked out. Ruka had the champion up on her shoulders, but Jordan looked for a poison rana once again, but was caught with a reverse Alabama slam into the top turnbuckle. Ruka went to the second rope with Jordan on her shoulders once again, but this time Jordan was able to hit a second poison rana from the ropes, then followed up with a split-legged moonsault to get the victory. In a show of sportsmanship after the match, Jordan held up her friend's hand in the middle of the ring. And finally, a bit of an injury update on AEW star Riho. AEW star Riho has announced she fractured her arm in her return match on AEW Collision. The former AEW Women's World Champion posted a photo on social media of her arm in a sling, with the caption reading, quote, "I just fractured my arm, but I'm doing very well." Now, Riho faced Lady Frost on the July 6th episode of Collision and seemingly suffered the injury during the match, with some on social media pointing to a spot where she landed awkwardly while performing a crossbody on the outside. The Japanese star was seen clutching her right arm after that move. Riho, of course, had only made a return to AEW a few weeks ago, confronting Serena Deeb on Collision. Prior to a match this past weekend, she last wrestled in AEW back in March, where she lost to Willow Nightingale on the Big Business episode of Dynamite. Riho was away from the American promotion because she needed to travel back to her home country and renew her visa. AEW has been unlucky lately as they have suffered a spate of injuries, which has kept the likes of Kira Hogan, Adam Copeland, Kota Ibushi, Mark Davis and Dax Harwood on the sidelines. But AEW and its women's division were given a major shot in the arm with the return of Britt Baker, who appeared at the Forbidden Door pay-per-view after a lengthy absence and looks set to face off against Mercedes Moné at AEW All-In at Wembley Stadium. But there you go, guys. Latest pro wrestling news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right-hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.